whistle. Is that a net violation there?
Yes, there is another net violation on Georgia Southern. That was a good choice by Caroline Oxman in the back row. She actually hit it at their setter in the back row, taking their setter out of the offense. You always want to do that if you ever have an out-of-system ball. You want to hit it towards right back as a volleyball player, taking that setter out.
Stevens again on the touch. That one just kept off the floor. Stevens back row again for the Eagles. There's the attack by Osman, getting a lot of minutes here. On play, diving for it is Ford. Dox has to just get it back over. Here comes a big attack by Georgia Southern. And Stephanie Spencer, the freshman, is just wearing out that left side.
Yeah, you can tell defense, people are flying all over the court, bodies on the floor. Right now, that's exactly what Georgia needs to try to get a little bit more momentum back into this game defensively. Right now, it kind of seems like a lot of the hits they're hitting are right between two players, forcing them to decide, who's going to take that ball. But like I said earlier, it's really a matter of who's going to put the effort in to get that ball up and keep it off the floor.
Oh boy, perspiration being wiped off the floor here. Take a look at Katie Bangy, native of Marietta. And Amanda Dox off the pin. And Georgia Southern has tied the contest.
And Katie Bing is a really dynamic athlete, you can tell, because she has a lot of responsibility on this team. When Georgia Southern's running a 6-2, she's forced to hit in the front row and then become the quarterback of the team and set out of the back row.
That back row for Georgia having to just come up with one there. Elma Ford dives for it. That's the second rally back over to Georgia, but they just haven't really been able to get an attack. And Southern gets the point. Frustrating there for Georgia. It's 2 straight points that just can't get anything going.
It is, yeah. You can tell Georgia never really seems to be in system here, and then when they get an unforced error like that being in the net, it does hurt. It does hurt the scoreboard for them and their momentum.
Both of those lobs over were just efforts to try to keep it alive. And Elma Ford digs that one out from behind the Georgia bench.
Yeah, it looks like Georgia's giving a lot of effort trying to save the ball right now, but it doesn't seem to be falling their way. They need to kind of switch it up and see if they can slow down the game a little bit.
4-0 run for the Eagles here in the third. We're tied at 10. Georgia went up by 2.
Yeah, that was cool.
And it was all Southern. Finally, Georgia able to break the run.
Yeah, you need a lot more in-system plays like this. When the ball is in-system, it gives Kendall Kaiser from Georgia the ability to set the middle hitter on those quick sets.
Georgia Southern just about ace there as two Eagles almost collided to each other. Here's Desiree McCray, and a little too strong there with that momentum carrying her over.
It looked like it was a little bit of a combination between the set being inside a little bit and Desiree McCray being a little bit early.
We'll take a timeout here in Athens. A close one in the third set. Georgia and Georgia Southern in an in-state battle on the SEC Network.
Yeah, one last question. Does that come in cream? What's taupe now? Uh-huh.
They're coming. They haven't forgotten. Their mission is clear. This is your warning. Their sights are set. They're going to try to take what's ours. Are you ready?
Bubba, you almost done? A few more to go.
Great.
Canton, Ohio, Stephanie Spencer operating in her own zip code here tonight, wearing out that left pin for the Georgia Southern Eagles.
She is. She's already got 15 kills on the night, which is a very impressive number. She's got an extremely fast arm swing, which is causing the Georgia team a lot of difficulties on their defense. As you can see, she does a really good job of seeing the entire court, whether she's going to hit the ball hard cross, deep line, or that deep corner shot. She is really giving the Georgia defense a lot of trouble back there. They're going to have to do something to address it. They're going to want to stop Stephanie Spencer.
You see the numbers on the freshman, 6'1" outside hitter. She is really making a name for herself here tonight. That one just gets past her hands there in defense.
Yeah, but Amanda Dax did a really good job answering back to that. She's a threat both in the front row and the back row there. You see that she scored that point hitting out of the back row. They need to recognize where their key players are in the court right now is Georgia. Needs help with that.
Within 1 point here.
It looks like that hit was actually touched off the Georgia block and went out of bounds there, so it does result in a Georgia Southern point. What you really want to do as blockers is you want to press over the net. You don't want to reach really high with your hands because it does put you in danger of touching that ball and having it go out, not giving the defense the ability to dig that ball, as you saw.
Alex Beecher with a pretty big run up there for her. Serve, and boy, what a block there at the pin by Georgia Southern. Kristen Curry, a native of Athens, a homecoming for her.
Yes, that was a really good, strong block by Georgia Southern there. Maddie Livingston couldn't do much to get past it.
Megan Chevalier in on that one as well, and Southern with a 3-point lead. Make it 2 as they'll serve it a little too hot there.
Yes, another unforced error. Once again, volleyball is a game of errors. Whoever usually commits the least amount is the one who comes out on top.
Kendall Kaiser just gets that one over the net, and it'll ace Georgia Southern. It was the freshman Stephanie Spencer diving for it there just to get it off the ground.
Really, really great aggressive serve there by Kendall Kaiser.
Punched over, and drops in there before Georgia could get to it. Maddie Lovenstein giving chase.
Once again, another hesitation by the Georgia defense. You can tell they're kind of looking at each other saying, go, go, but the responsibility of defense is just to go for that ball and not to look at each other.
Cat Hennerly, that one gets over the block. That one off the hands of Georgia defensively Catherine Murray there that time.
As you can see, Catherine Murray got a really good, nice high swing down the line there. She saw there was an opening in the block on the outside of Megan Spencer's hand, and she went right for it.
Georgia trailing by 3 will take its first timeout of this third set. 19-16, Georgia Southern leading after taking the second set here from the Bulldogs. We'll take a look here as Desiree McCray, really one of the bright spots here so far tonight for Georgia, really trying to get something going.
She is. She's done a really good job behind the center off one foot on those slide approaches. She's been kind of a threat to reckon with right now. She needs to make her presence known on defense a little bit. As you can see right there, she's doing a great job on defense and offense.
You see Georgia Southern and Justin Wood.
Yes, I'm sure that Georgia Southern right now is feeling pretty confident in their position, being, tied at this, but up 3 points on Georgia at this point. I'm sure that this win would be a really big one for them, considering they haven't ever beat the University of Georgia's team before.
Yeah, we mentioned that at the top of the broadcast. Georgia is 12-0 all time against Georgia Southern. As these Bulldogs back on their heels a little bit here. So take a look at the hitting percentage. Georgia Southern's hitting percentage since that second set, last time we looked at it, has really spiked up a bit here. Georgia still hitting decently, but just not a ton going on.
It is, yeah. You can see the digs are pretty much neck and neck. Both defensively, both of these teams are doing a really good job defending that backcourt. But it really is As you can see, even the kills are neck and neck, but it's all about what's really scoring right now for Georgia Southern is their fast offense. It's causing a lot of problems for the Georgia defense right now.
That hit percentage is really the only big differentiator between the two.
It is. It's all about efficiency, and you know the errors are coming into play a little bit for that Georgia team right there on that hitting percentage.
Spencer out of the timeout, and Georgia Southern given the point.
What happened there?
See, as you can see, that set is just a little bit wide. Megan Spencer gets on that ball just a little bit too late, causing it to go right into the antenna for the point for Georgia Southern.
That dig, not what Georgia was looking for there. It sends the offense out of kilter. And an unforced error there by the Eagles. Georgia certainly take the point.
Yes, I'm sure at this point, Georgia's going to take whatever they can this late in the third set. You really need to try to do a good job of scoring your own points, not scoring points for the other team on your errors.
Here's Lobenstein. That's two straight there that Georgia Southern has misfired on, gets Georgia within two.
That was a good idea by Katie Bangy on Georgia Southern with that off-speed shot to the deep line, but unfortunately for them, it was out.
We've mentioned just about every time Georgia is able to get a little bit of momentum going, they seem to trip over themselves. We'll see if the Dogs can avoid it this time.
That was a really, really good decision by Maddie Lowenstein to serve that ball short, because after her first serve, she served it deep, pushing their serve receive back. And on that one, she served him short, catching him off guard a little bit, causing the point to be on the Georgia side.
Dustin Wood has seen enough there. He'd like to take a timeout and talk about it as Georgia goes on a 3-0 run. 3-1 if you go back to the timeout that Georgia called just a moment ago. What are you talking about right here? Just trying to settle things down?
Absolutely. I'm sure right now, Georgia Southern is telling each other, you know, there's really nothing to worry about. We have nothing to lose. The games, the sets are all tied up. It's 1-1, and they're only a 1-point difference, but they're actually on top. So there really shouldn't be very much pressure for this Georgia Southern squad. But right now, there's pressure everywhere in this game because it is nearing the end of the set. So it's really about who's going to come on top and who's going to be the more physical team and be the last couple points.
Georgia challenge teams from across the Peach State here this weekend. You see the opener here earlier today. Kennesaw State defeated Georgia Southern in a 3-2 thriller. Georgia Tech swept New Mercer 3-0. Then tomorrow it'll be Georgia Tech, Georgia Southern opening today's contest. Mercer and Georgia will follow in the nightcap, or in the afternoon cap. Mercer and Kennesaw State at 4 o'clock, and then really the nightcap, that's the one that really everyone will have circled for sure. Georgia Tech. Be a good crowd in here for sure. Really big, loud, raucous environment. I know that's the kind of game that you as a player like to play in.
It is. That's really what it's all about. That's what you come, you know, you play in college for. You come and hope for those rivalries between teams, and Georgia Tech is a very big rivalry for this state.
Lobenstein out of the timeout. And that one just wide there. Georgia just about had an ace.
It is. I'm sure that one stings a little bit for Georgia coming into when you're in the last final 5 points of the game, inside 20, the biggest thing is really try not to make any unforced errors, because that game is really up to all the errors at that point.
There's the junior Avery Stevens. She's had a impactful but quiet night here so far. Been a part of a lot of touches for the Eagles. That went off the hands of Kendall Kaiser.
Georgia Southern's offense right now is looking very strong with that hit by Stephanie Spencer, and they also have the big key player Katie Bangy and Kristen Curry in the front row. It's going to be hard for Georgia to defend that.
Georgia just somehow keeps that one alive there. Nice job by Austin. Back row, she'll get it again.
Good job by Megan Spencer taking Katie Bangy out of that offense.
There was Stevens on the back row and a whistle as that one comes over. Georgia will take the point.
Another unforced error by Georgia Southern. They were in the net. That was a good job by Megan Spencer. He actually took out the right side hitter, Katie Bangy, on that play. And then the kill from Dox is really what put it to him. So it's what momentum is coming towards Georgia's side.
Big serve here from Georgia as that one drops in and Georgia aces the Eagles.
Really, really good job by Cassidy Anderson there at UGA.
Well, that gets the Ramsey Center a little loud here. As Georgia Southern takes its final timeout here of this third set.
It's actually a really hard spot that Cassidy Anderson is in right now. It takes a lot of pressure being in this, or there's a lot of pressure in this situation, knowing that you're in a timeout coming out after this, having to serve that first point.
Amanda Dox, we mentioned her earlier here for Georgia. Getting the job done tonight.
Yes, really good job. She's very efficient so far tonight. Low errors and a lot of offense out of her. So she's doing a good job kind of being everywhere on the court, whether she's in the front row there as you saw, or coming out of the back row. So she's an important piece of these last few points.
Total attacks 27 tonight for Amanda Dox. She's got 12 kills, which leads the way for Georgia. Still trails the 16 kills that Stephanie Spencer has put up for Georgia Southern. That left hand has been fruitful tonight for the Eagles. We'll take a look at the numbers on Dox. 370 hit percentage. Georgia as a team is hitting 226 right now compared to Georgia Southern's 289. Georgia's still just hanging around in there though, despite being out hit.
They are, yeah, I'm sure. Amanda Dox, her .370 hitting percentage is really pulling up the Georgia team's total hitting percentage at this point, so giving more balls to her would probably be in their favor.
And Georgia Southern out of the timeout.
Really aggressive swing there. Katie Bangy on the right side finding the hole in that Georgia block and in that Georgia defense.
Away here is Georgia Southern from going up 2-1. And it dodges a nice dig by Jocelyn Morrow. Tip back, Georgia. Looking for a big attack here. That one fired over. Back row again there by Stevens. Well, that dig there for Georgia, you could just see it coming to the net there, and there just wasn't much that Amanda Dox could do.
You could, yeah. Having that ball come from behind her shoulder and then essentially being too tight to the net really puts Dox in a very difficult situation. So there wasn't very much she could do at that point. And Georgia Southern did a good job defending that ball for how crazy it was on the other side of the net.
Lizzie Stemke will pull her final timeout out of her pocket as Georgia Southern will have set point here out of the break.
It is great. Right now you can see that on the Georgia side, the teams kind of talking to each other for the most part, because at this point it's all about who's on the court and what are those people going to be able to do to kind of scrape up a few more points and try to tie this up.
And that's one thing for Georgia, only one senior on this team. It's going to be a lot of these other leaders, the juniors that are maybe speaking up right now and taking a leadership role in that huddle.
It is. At this point, really, they're looking to anybody, regardless of class, that's on the court and is going to be willing to make that play for them. As I'm sure Georgia Southern is thinking the same thing. Who are we going to give this ball to finish this game, considering they are at game point right now?
24-21 here in our third set. As the Georgia Pet Band plays on and we're trying to see if the Dogs can roll off 5-6 points here to try to get this win. Georgia was down 1 point, 22-21, and it was the next two. A kill by Katie Bangy and then Amanda Dox on the attack error. Really changed the complexion of this third set.
That was a good call, but a risky call there by the Georgia service. One of the rules in volleyball is that you don't want to leave any of those balls to chance, but it looked like they had a handle on it. They knew where that ball was going to be going, and it was out on first error on Georgia Southern.
Still set point here for Georgia Southern. Selma Cord on the serve for the Dogs. blocked. That one dug out, back over, fired over. Anderson, that one hooked over by Desiree McRae upon behind her back.
Right? Stephanie just did 2 in a row.
See the effort all over the court here in defense.
Stephanie.
Tipped over, that one knocked backwards by Kaiser, and here's Amanda Dox. That one falls in front of a diving Alex Beecher. Georgia's not done yet.
It even looks like Amanda Dox lost her shoe on that last play, but she did everything she could to fight that ball. As you can see, she has 1 shoe on right now, and she ended up getting that kill. That's very impressive, and a good job working with that out-of-system set.
Kendall Kaiser getting some coaching from assistant coach Josh Maurer there on the bench. Junior Elma Cord on the serve. And Georgia Southern able to put the nail on the coffin here in this third set. Stephanie Spencer, guess who for Georgia Southern, working that left pin.
Yep, she saw that hole right there between the 2 Georgia blockers, and she did a great job going for it.
Georgia Southern wins set 3, takes it 2 sets to 1 lead. We'll be back for the 4th set in Athens on the SEC Network.
AT&T and DirecTV are now one, which means you can watch movies while you're on the move, sitcoms while you sit on those, and even Fargo in Fargo. Binge while you lose weight.
Oh boy.
Doesn't have a counter.
You might have to go further out because you're not.
Further back?
No, the other way.
Why?
Because I think we were. So why isn't it playing?
Oh, it's taping still, is it? Oh,
Yeah.
shit. Why do I do that? I think it's like more over here.
Oh, I didn't.
I think it's doing this buffering thing, maybe. This thing is right around there. Son of a pup. So I was trying to do something like this. Now what?
I don't know. I don't know why I stopped playing. You just have to wait.
When I did it, it was all the way to the end. My battery's dead.
Was that why?
Could be. What was this, I guess?